Alright guys, got a new package in the mail today. Get her unboxed here and take a look. That's right, the new V5 Kraton 6S. Made some major improvements. The chassis, and larger box, receiver box, some servo, the motor, the towers, controller, some additional B factor, plastics and metals or aluminum. Should be pretty awesome. There's a look at her. First unboxing, decided to go with the blue. Alright, we're back on the workbench here. Got the M2C tower brace going in. Got the front tower brace, the center braces, and the wing mount brace. Got the skid plates as well. There's the rear and the front. I'm going to try to integrate those with the RPM bumpers as well. Anyway, what I was going to tell you guys about tonight, the wing mount. Stock arms and RPM arms with the wheelie bar included. It's going to mount up, and I will have double the amount of support, hopefully, including a rear bumper, which I'm including as well. But if I do take a landing on this, I'm hoping this will absorb some impact and not snap these bolts off, which is very, very common in these trucks, because it's a 3M bolt that goes through there, which I really should have done a 4M bolt. Would have solved that problem. I have seen some people drill it out. Didn't really like how it looked. And took out the steering, the Servo Saver, getting rid of the brass bushings. I have bearings to replace those. So that should make it a little smoother. Got the ESC out, the servo mount, which is composite, which is stronger than they used to be, but I have a hot racing servo mount I'm going to put in. The old servo, taking that out, I got a new one of those. This one running at 7.4, the 681 ounce, which I know is probably not truly accurate, but this thing is waterproof as well. Metal. There's the part number. There's the model number there, A86BHM. Now there's a difference between the regular M and the W. Make sure if you're wanting the waterproof, you get the W. The W is waterproof. The M is not. It's a couple dollars cheaper, but it's not waterproof. I got the hot racing servo mount. I did opt to get the blue Powerhobby fans for the motor. Alright, with installing the M2C skid plates, you do need to grind off this rib that runs down the center of the RPM bumper to make it flush, which wasn't too difficult, but just takes a little effort. And then once that's done, it really lined up well, and I think we'll add some additional protection from the bolts popping through the plastic as well. Alright, back on the workstation here. The other day I over-tightened my sway bar and ended up stripping it. So it wouldn't tighten down, kept falling off. I ended up going with the M2C E0829 anti-roll bar link ball, and they're steel. It's the same grub screw that comes in them stock will work, but it does hang out a little bit. So you can use those. It's a 3mm 1.5 hex driver, but I didn't know if these were going to work because they were a little bigger size wise. So I did go ahead and order a pair from Arrma that were after the fact, so I already ordered those. So these are a tad bit smaller in the ball size, so they'll work perfectly as well. I did end up going with M2C, however you say it, because they just looked a little beefier, and I liked them. But the nice thing about this, which is, there's the part number, is they came with the grub screw. It's a little shorter. Let's see if I can focus on that. Yeah, so you can go a little Loctite on it. So it's quite a bit shorter, so it doesn't hang out. So it's a better direct fit to the steel grub screw needs. So these will work perfectly, the stock ones that come with it, but these are nicer just because they don't stick out as far. All right, last but not least, another recommendation I got for you guys. If you're looking for a little bit more beef factor in your suspension, the rear turnbuckle is 5mm and the front turnbuckle is only 4mm. So a video I saw from East Tactics, he actually bought some titanium Langsford turnbuckles and turned both his front and rear into 5mm, which was an awesome idea. So I definitely give him the credit for that. But I didn't want to spend the additional money, so what I did, I found a less expensive option. These are the EXB steel turnbuckles at about maybe a third of the price, maybe only half, but they came in 95mm, which is what the front requires, but I did have to cut down the rear to 89 with a Dremel, so not a big deal. Threaded them on there, did have to use an 11/64 bit to drill out the plastic. Again, East Tactics gave me both of those numbers so I could do it myself, so big shout out to him. But if you want to do it for a little bit less money, you can use steel, and I think it'll still serve the purpose of beefing it up and not break as easy. I had the trouble with my V3 Outcast with the rod ends and the turnbuckles breaking. So again, East Tactics, big shout out. Love the idea. All right, guys, we're here with the Kraton 6S V5 edition. Just want to go over all the upgrades I've done so far, some recommendations possibly, and just kind of show you where we're at. So the body, decided to put some skid protectors on, which are really flexible material, so I think those are going to help the front end. And I installed 3 of them on the top, and those just go through with the bolt. I did Gorilla Tape the inside. Underneath here where the front shock towers sit, I did put a piece of rubber just to kind of prevent that from popping through the top side of the body itself. Some of these things that I've done, I've gotten from different people on YouTube as well. Big shout out to East Tactics. I did do quite a few things that he had recommended. So some of those ideas came from him originally. Start off with the front. We have the RPM front bumper. We did go ahead and install that and the M2C front skid plate, which this rib runs all the way down, so I did have to grind that off so that could sit flush. But I think that'll help any issue with the screws popping through the plastic in the future. So moving up front here, we have the M2C Racing Hinge Pin Kit. That was a huge thing. I actually came down really hard on the front end and bent those stock ones already, so got those upgraded. I also popped out my sway bar, which I upgraded with M2C ball ends in there. That made a big difference as well. Those are really tight. Don't have that problem anymore. M2C front and rear towers, also center braces in front and rear. I just upgraded the wheel hubs, steering hubs to the Hot Racing, along with the servo mount and the link. I have an aftermarket 55 kg servo, and actually at 7.4 volts, it's running at 681 ounces of torque, it says. So I'm sure that's a little bit off from the actual. There is the model number. If anybody wants to take a look at those guys, it is waterproof, all aluminum housing, so it dissipates that heat. I did order the EXB turnbuckles and turned the front and rear turnbuckles into 5mm thickness. Got the aluminum Integy Servo Saver, which is adjustable, really nice and smooth. Upgraded the bearings in there as well instead of having the bushings. Moving along to the side here, I got the Powerhobby heatsink with a couple aluminum fans that I got off of Amazon. There's a gentleman on eBay that, again, East Tactics, gave a shout out about, that makes fan covers. Really nice quality. So I integrated this one. He didn't make a 35mm, so I drilled out the 40 to make it work. Put a couple washers on top. And then these are 30 obviously, which are perfect. So got those installed. Got the rear tower, the rear wing mount support. I have the Hot Racing rear hubs on its way. Some mud guards. In the rear, I did go ahead and upgrade my wing mount to a double wing mount. So I actually have RPM ones that I've bent in the past. And so I cut those down and put a 4mm bolt through those next to the 3mm stock arms and bolted them together up top. So that's kind of what that looks like here. Now on a stock tower, you'd have to drill this out, but on the M2C, there was already a hole there, so I just utilized that. But really easy to drill out on a stock tower. Got the rear hinge pin kit from M2C Racing as well, and the rear skid plate. And I did go with a T-bone Racing rear bumper, just so it was a little bit wider, and I didn't have to grind off the rib that went down the center there. So got that all upgraded. I did go ahead and rip out the diffs and redo the fluids. I'm running 60,000 in the front, about $1 million in the middle. We're gonna call it 750,000 because I put a little bit of $1 million and a little bit of 500 in there. So it's kind of in between. And then the rear I have 30,000. I also am, I don't know if you can see it in there, that center support is by it's by PPS, which is a gentleman off of eBay, but really nice quality aluminum, milled. Got that upgraded as well. I am running a 16 tooth pinion. So when I did install the new servo, it was slightly taller than the old one. So what I did is I put a lock nut in between. Where the silver is the Servo Saver and the link. So I just put that, and there's a perfect amount of space to keep that level. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up, if you do get a taller servo, it will fit in there nicely with still clearance to go underneath the mudguard with no issue. So if you guys have any questions, give me a shout in the comments. Otherwise, oh, one last thing I do recommend, if you guys haven't done yet, which I'm sure most people are, venting your tires and then taping up the inside. My last V3 Outcast had terrible foam in them because I did not do that with that one, and it really made those tires not work as well, and they were just off balance. So all right guys, thanks again. Have a good one.